Hare Krishna everyone, I'm Kavya Budhiraja. Welcome back to Being Krishna Conscious. So the question is, how to please Krishna? How to make Krishna happy? And I shall try to answer this question in special light of the month of Kartik Maas. So without any further delay, let us begin with this video. Everything that we have right now, be it our car, our house, our family, our beauty, or even this body, all of these things will be taken away, they will be snatched away. It is just the matter of time. But there is only one thing that is going to be intact forever. And that one thing is spiritual cultivation towards the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna. So what do you think is better? To be attached to all these temporary pleasures, or to be attached to that thing which is going to stay by our side forever? That is why our Acharyagan always mentioned that if there has to be somebody that you have to be attached to, let it be Shri Shri Radhe Shyam Sundar. If you want to be attached to any land, let the land be the holy land of Braja or Vrindavan. And if you have to be attached to any mindset, let your attachment be towards the lotus feet of the gopis of Braja who wanted no one but Radha and Krishna. And Srimad Chaitanya Mahaprabhu descended on earth to give us the service towards the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani. So when you sit in the car, you need to have an idea of where you want to go. That means that you need to know your destination and you drive your car according to that destination so that you reach towards that destination. So our destination is to please Srimati Radharani and Sri Krishna, to attain their mercy and to ultimately attain their lotus feet, the dust of their lotus feet. And how to do that? For that, we need to adopt all such ways to go near that destination. And one of the quickest and easiest ways to do that is to observe properly and nicely the month of Kartik. Now this brings me to my next topic, which is this month of Kartik Maas. Now, as per our Shastras, there are 3 synonyms used for Kartik Maas or the month of Damodar. We'll try to discuss them one by one. Firstly, the name is Damodar Maas. Now Dam means robes, rassi, and Udar means belly or pate. So it is that auspicious month in which the Leela of Damodar, the Leela wherein the Supreme Lord Krishna in his form of a baby, he got bound up by the robes of Mother Yashoda. And because that Damodar Leela took place in the month of Kartik Maas, this month is also known as Damodar month. And it's very interesting to note that this Damodar Leela actually took place on the day of Diwali. So as the worshippers of Srimati Radharani, we must not only think that this festival of Deepavali is only meant for bursting crackers or things like that, but Damodar Leela took place on this day. And of course, our Sri Ramchandra Bhagavan came back to Ayodhya on the day of Deepavali. So this was the name Damodar Maas. Now the second name for this month is Kartik Maas. We know that the mother of Srimati Radharani is Kirti Da Maiya. Now Da means to give or dene wali, and Kirti means fame. That personality who gives fame is called Kirti Da. And in some other texts we can observe that Kirti Da Maiya has been referred to Kirti Ka Devi or Kirti Ka Maiya. It's very interesting to note that whenever we want to address somebody as very tender-hearted, very soft-hearted, we add the term Ka towards the end. For example, we know gopis or the Braj gopis. But when we want to say that very soft, tender-hearted gopis, we refer to them as gopikas. Similarly, Radha, very soft-hearted, very compassionate Radha becomes Radhika. Amba, which means mother or ma, she becomes Ambika. So when we add the term Ka, it means that the personality is very compassionate, Karunamayi, Kripamayi, Dayamayi. So because the mother's name of Srimati Radharani is Kirti Da or Kirtika, Radharani naturally is called as Kritika or Kartika. And this month of Kartik, the Adhishtatri Devi for this particular month is not Krishna, it's not Vishnu, but it is Srimati Radhika Rani. And that is why Sri Krishna says that out of all the 12 months in the year, the month of Kartik, because it is the month of Srimati Radharani, is most dear to me. So the answer is very simple. If you want to please Krishna, please Srimati Radharani. And the best way to please Srimati Radharani is to nicely observe the month of Kartik. Now, how to observe that? I would shortly tell you all about that. Now, these were the two names for this particular month. First, we discussed why is it called Damodar month, and secondly, Kartik Maas. Now, the third name for this Maas has been given in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, in which this month of Kartik has also been referred to as Urja Maas. Urja means strength, energy. So, because Srimati Radharani is Shakti and Krishna is Shaktiman, this month is based upon the Shakti, Srimati Radharani. That is why this month is called as Urja Maas. And the second understanding that why it is called Urja Maas is because after observing this entire month of Kartik Maas very nicely, devotees get spiritual energy or their spiritual strength gets rejuvenated after observing this Maas. So if any one of us thinks that our spiritual energy is getting reduced, one must try to observe this particular vrat very nicely. And this vrat is for 1 month. So these were the 3 names given to this particular month as per our Shastras. We observe that there are so many festivals, so many spiritual festivals like Ekadashi, Janmashtami. All of these festivals are only for 1 day. So it's either a good day or a bad day for us. But for the month of Kartik, because it is 30 days long, we can see that how compassionate Srimati Radharani is. Even if you do not have 1 day going well, Radharani always gives you another chance. Now that doesn't mean that we get negligent in any of our days in this Kartik Vrat, but it is only to showcase that how compassionate is Srimati Radharani. So we must try to observe this particular Vrat, this 1 month Vrata, very nicely. Now how to do that? Let us come to that. So now I'll be telling you the Niyam Seva. Now Niyam means rules and Seva means service. But one must bear in mind that one must not do all these Niyam Seva externally. Which is to say that sometimes we keep doing a particular thing as a ritual and we are not really attached to why we are doing it. We are only attached to the process. Doing something every day, constantly, and not really paying attention to why we are doing this certainly does not give you that much of spiritual benefit or certainly does not make you attach to the lotus feet of Lord Sri Krishna. Now why we are observing this fast? It is very clear, which is to be attached to the lotus feet of Sri Sri Radha and Krishna to develop our love for them. And if most of us are at that particular stage right now, we do not have love for Radha Krishna, then we must strive to have the mentality that, oh Radha Krishna, please give me that desire so that I may be attached to your lotus feet. Even that sincere desire to develop love for them is enough for us to have their merciful glance upon us. Now let me tell you what are the do's and don'ts for this particular Kartik Maas Vrata. Talking about the don'ts, first is Vacho Vegam. Do not get indulged in criticizing or complaining. You see, when we criticize the other person, our consciousness gets deviated from Krishna to the ill happenings which are taking place. So that must be avoided. Nextly, Manasa Vegam. Our mindset should be to only bring pleasure to Radha Krishna. Our mindset should not be that I am observing this particular Kartik Maas Vrata so that I may get some material success. No, our only goal is to attain the mercy of Sri Sri Radha and Krishna. So even if Krishna comes and tells you that you are not going to get any fruit of this Kartik Maas Vrata, we should be happy enough to tell him that Krishna, even if you do not reward me anything, I would simply observe this Vrata very nicely for your happiness. Next is Krodh Veg. One must not get indulged in quarrels and fights. This is something that Even I need to constantly remind myself not to get indulged in all of these things. I certainly do not have the right to say this because I am a Baddhajeev, but by simply repeating the words of our acharyas, one gets purified. So, the basic purpose of me telling you all these things is so that I may remind myself that what I need to do in this Kartik and what not. Now, this was Krodh, which is not to get indulged in fights and quarrels. Next is to regulate our eating patterns. So, in the month of Kartik, especially, we should be mindful of what we are consuming. Firstly, we must try only to consume those things which have been prepared by devotees or by ourselves so that our consciousness remains purified. Secondly, we all are aware that urad dal must be avoided in this particular Kartik Maas. And lastly, we must lead a celibate life. We should not get indulged in any sexual activities as much as possible. Why? Because observing complete celibacy, especially in the month of Kartik, keeps your consciousness pure, and that is the ultimate thing that we need to have, pure consciousness, to be able to follow and complete this vrat of Kartik Maas. Now these were the don'ts or things that should be avoided in the month of Kartik. Now let us come to the things that you should do or the do's. Well, the first thing is that any of these things that we promise to have, we must take sankalp in front of Radhe Shyam Sundar. And even if you have not taken sankalpa in the morning, it is fine. You can take this particular sankalpa or vow or promise before Radhe Shyam during any time in the day. But do that as soon as possible. Now the first thing or the first niyam seva that we must do is to wake up early in the Brahma Muhurta, take bath and then do your chanting. Do rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. This is something that must be performed. Secondly, offer Mangala Aarti to the Lord. Thirdly, Radha and Krishna love to have sweets, especially in the month of Kartik Maas. So you can offer them sweets or mithai. Fourthly, try to increase the number of Hare Krishna rounds that you're doing. For example, if you are currently doing only 2 rounds, try to increase it by doing 4 or 5 rounds. And for those devotees who are already doing 16 rounds, well, sky is the limit. There are certain devotees who even take sankalpa of doing 64 rounds every single day. But while doing so, we must bear in mind that sometimes out of overexcitement, we tend to take a vow or we tend to take sankalpa of something that we are not really able to perform throughout these 30 days. So one must be mindful and take up only those vows, take only that sankalpa which you know that you would be able to accomplish by the mercy of Krishna and Radha. Fifthly, indulge yourself in the river of Nam. Try to do Nam Sankirtan as much as possible. If you're also working, so you can do 30 minutes of Nam Sankirtan in the morning and then again 30 minutes in the evening. Well, I personally feel that whenever I gather all my family members and when we do Nam Sankirtan together, then the intensity of calling out and praying to Lord Shri Krishna is more. Well, that is my personal experience. You all too must try to do that. Try to gather all of your friends and family members and then do Nam Sankirtan together. And even a better thing could be to physically go to any temple nearby and then join the devotees in Nam Sankirtan. So this was tip number 5. Tip number 6 or Niyam Seva number 6 is to sing certain Vaishnava songs or Vaishnav bhajans. Now there are certain Vaishnav bhajans which are generally preferred by most of the devotees to be sung in the month of Kartik. And those bhajans are firstly Krishna Dev Bhavantam Vande. Second, Radhe Jaya Jaya Madhav Daite. Both of them have been beautifully written by Srila Rupa Goswami. Thirdly, Nanda Nandanashtakam. And fourthly, Radha Kripa Kataksh, which has been sung by Shivaji himself. Now, there are certain geets like Gopi Geet, which is sung in Vrindavan in Krishna Balram temple every evening, wherein 500 or 600 devotees gather up and they sing Gopi Geet. So as per your preferences also, you can also add the other ashtakams or these geets like Gopi Geet, Brahmar Geet, and there are other stutis like Gajendra Stuti, which are coming straight from the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam into your daily prayers. Well, because I have my merciful deities of Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra at my home, so I also prefer singing Jagannath Ashtakam as well. 7th, Tulsi Seva. See, Krishna doesn't accept even bhog if Tulsi has not been offered on top of it. So, doing Tulsi Seva, worshipping the plant of Tulsi and offering her water every single day and offering the leaves, the soft leaves and manjaris of Tulsi plant unto the lotus feet of Sri Krishna is a must, especially in the month of Kartik. Although it should be done throughout the year, but especially in the month of Kartik, it is a must. And we must not forget that Sri Advaita Acharya invoked Srimad Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself on the power of just one Tulsi leaf. So without the mercy of Srimati Tulsi Maharani, Krishna can never be attained. Because Tulsi Maharani has the power to give us Krishna. It has the power to give us the residence of Brajadham, Vrindavan Dham. 8th, there are so many festivals which come in the Maas of Kartik. For example, Bahulashtami, Govardhan Puja, several appearances and disappearances day, Dipavali, the very day on which the sweet Leela of Dam Bandhan Leela took place. So it is our duty that we honor all of these festivals and observe them very nicely and properly. 9th, study Srimad Bhagavatam. And if studying Bhagavatam is not possible, then at least try to hear Srimad Bhagavatam or hear about the glories of Lord Sri Krishna and Srimati Radharani in the groves of Sridham Vrindavan from the lips of a great Vaishnava. 10th, try to give in charity to great Vaishnavas. See, the goal is to attain Anga Shuddhi and Sanga Shuddhi. Anga Shuddhi means that you are purified with your Ang, like observing celibacy, regulating your sleep pattern, reducing or minimizing to a large extent your krodh, gussa, your anger. And Sanga Shuddhi means associating with those people, those devotees who have high enthusiasm for observing this particular Kartik Maas Vrata. Now 11th, reduce social media intake. You know, this unnecessary browsing, it takes our attention away from Krishna, which must definitely be avoided, especially in the month of Kartik. 12th, offering ghee lamp or tulsi stick lamp to Yashoda Damodar, to their photo or their vigraha, their deity. And connected with this tip, our next tip is to sing every day Damodar Ashtakam. So the vidhi is that whenever you are offering lamp to Yashoda Damodar, you should try to sing Damodar Ashtakam as well. Now these are basically 8 verses glorifying that fearsome little Lord who is being bound by the ropes of love of Mother Yashoda. And lastly, our tip number 14th is to have Vrindavan consciousness, to constantly think about the holy land of Vrindavan, because the ultimate fruit, the ultimate result that we must strive to have after the observing of this particular Kartik Maas Vrat is to get the residence of Brajadham, to become Vrindavan Vasi. And one Brajvasi out of 5 Brajvas that are there as per the Shastras, one type of Brajvas is to constantly think about the holy land of Vrindavan. Because there is a famous saying that you can take a Brajvasi out of Braj, but you can never take out Braj out of a Brajvasi. So having that Vrindavan consciousness that was very well depicted by the personal example of Srila Prabhupada, that even when he was away from Vrindavan, away to other country, Paschatya Desh, in America, Europe, and all these countries, Vrindavan could never be taken out of the heart of Srila Prabhupada. And this is the ultimate stage. We can at least strive to walk on that particular path by the mercy of our acharyas and of course Sri Sri Radha and Krishna. In the end, I would only like to say that when Krishna saw that how Mother Yashoda was sweating and perspiring in the attempt to catch Krishna while having stick in her hand, Krishna got so pleased that Mother Yashoda is doing so much of hard work and she is so sincere that even that Supreme Lord, who is the abode and refuge of each and every jiva in this world and out of this world, that Lord became readily pleased to be bound by the ropes of love of Mother Yashoda. And likewise, if Krishna sees our endeavor, our sincere hard work in observing this Kartik Maas Vrata, in which we are sweating and perspiring to walk towards attaining the mercy of Lord Sri Krishna and Srimati Radharani, Krishna would be readily pleased with all of us, and he would be ready to be bound to the wooden grinding mortar or ukhal of our hearts. And as Krishna beautifully says that a devotee understands my heart. In my heart resides Srimati Radharani, and if that devotee nicely observes the month of my Radharani, I would lovingly accept with an open embrace that devotee in my eternal dham of Sri Golok Dham. So with this, I pray to you all to kindly pray for me, to kindly give me your blessings, so that may I also be able to have that desire to be attached to the lotus feet of Srimati Radharani. Hare Krishna, Jai Jai Srila Prabhupada, Kartik Maas Maha Mahotsav ki Jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Hare Krishna.